Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or The Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, we're going to be doing a 2023 fantasy football draft. We're going to be doing a Best Ball Mania draft over on Underdog Fantasy for Best Ball Mania 4. This tournament is 677,376 entrants, $25 to enter with a $15 million prize pool, $1 million to first place. If you are unfamiliar with Best Ball is just like normal fantasy football, except there is no waiver wire and you don't edit your lineup because the computer on Underdog automatically puts in the highest scores at the end of the week, so you don't have to worry about making the wrong decision, starting the wrong guy, playing Tyreek Hill instead of this random wide receiver you've never heard of, because that random wide receiver decided to score 35 points that week and Tyreek Hill scored 7. So you don't have to worry about doing the in-season management. You don't have to worry about waiver wire. If you're new to Underdog Fantasy, if you click on the link in the video description, you want to do drafts like this. They also are going to be offering cheaper contests, so if $25 a little much for you, they will have the puppy in the future, which last year was only $5 to enter. Pretty big prize pool in there as well. And I think it's also the best way to do a mock draft because you're drafting with real people who actually care because they put money into things. If you're new, make sure you click on the link in the video description. For Underdog, you get a $100 first match deposit bonus. So you deposit $100, they'll give you an additional $100, which is 4 extra drafts into the Best Ball Mania 4. Or you can deposit like $20. They'll give you an additional $20. It's just a $100 first match deposit bonus up to $100. So thank you guys all so much for watching so far. We're going to have a great time in today's video. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and without further ado, let's get on in to the draft. All right, so the draft has begun here. We are the number 4 pick out of 12 in this draft. If I'm being honest with you guys right now, I definitely do not have a preference in where I pick in fantasy football drafts. Normally, I am someone who likes the 10, 11, or 12 pick in drafts because I like getting that nice 1-2 punch to start the draft. But if I'm being completely honest with you guys, I don't think it really matters too much. You can win at any spot. So the first pick, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, and Christian McCaffrey. We are up to pick here, and we are going to go wide receiver with the best wide receiver available. In my opinion, that is Tyreek Hill. I definitely think you could consider Bijan Robinson or Jonathan Taylor at the 1.04. I do recognize that in these best ball drafts, there are going to be a lot more wide receivers going early on in compared to your normal fantasy football draft. So we'll also be doing some drafts over on Sleeper, on Fantasy Pros, some redraft drafts for mock drafts, so that you guys kind of have a better understanding of how those may end up going. But then again, with how strong the trend is, and I assume a lot of fantasy analysts like myself are going to be talking up wide receivers in the first round to the point where maybe even in your normal league with your people from the office or your people that you play with from your hometown, your college, whatever league you play in, maybe the wide receivers are going to be more heavy in the first round compared to the past. How likely is that? I wouldn't say it's exactly the most likely, but I do definitely think it is possible because, again, the trend of wide receivers early is very strong at this point. After Tyreek, we saw Cooper Kupp, Travis Kelce, Stephon Diggs, A.J. Brown, Bijan Robinson, and Jonathan Taylor. In this draft, I would assume we see either 3 or 4 running backs go in the first round. I think in most normal redraft leagues, we'll see 6-ish running backs go in the first round. I would say Saquon Barkley's probably the cutoff to where I want to draft a running back in the first round. I love Nick Chubb this season. I just think I would much prefer one of the wide receivers in that spot. Another big difference between best ball and redraft this year, I think if you are in a redraft league with some normal people, not the most sharp individuals ever, there will be some quarterbacks going early, but in this draft, we might see 3 quarterbacks go by the time round 2 even comes to a close. So after Jonathan Taylor, we see Devontae Adams, Austin Eckler, and Garrett Wilson. Again, kind of going back to my pick of Tyreek Hill. I really do believe if Tua Tagovailoa is able to stay healthy, that Tyreek Hill could finish as the number 1 wide receiver on the year. This Dolphins offense, second year under Mike McDaniel. I know they have Jalen Waddle, but if you're confident drafting Jamar Chase super high, they also have T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd. So I don't think that's really too much of a valid argument. After Garrett Wilson, Amon-Ra, St. Brown, and CeeDee Lamb. Interesting to see where Amon-Ra ends up falling by the time we are in late August or early September when you're doing your normal fantasy football draft, because now that Jameson Williams is suspended for 6 games, there's very positive reasons to believe that Amon-Ra St. Brown might be a top 3 wide receiver for the first couple of weeks of the season. Again, regardless of how much you believe in Jared Goff, there are just so many targets to be had in Detroit for Amon-Ra St. Brown. After CeeDee Lamb, we see Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts, Jalen Waddle, and Pat Mahomes. I was definitely excited to get the Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle stack, but obviously that is not going to end up happening. 2 quarterbacks already off the board up to this point. Wouldn't shock me if boy shooter over here, boy 3 shooter goes with Josh Allen, but I think he will end up falling a little bit further. Higgins off of the board. So I think Josh Allen's definitely an interesting pick, but we didn't get Diggs, so we're going to look a different direction. For me, it's between Nick Chubb, Chris Olave, Tony Pollard. If I knew Breece Hall was going to play week 1, I would also consider him. We're going to go with 9-inch Nicholas Chubb here. The team doesn't have a number 2 running back. It seems like Kareem Hunt is not going to be coming back in 2023, which potentially means that Nick Chubb could be seeing a lot more receptions. Now, I won't say that for certain because even when Kareem Hunt was hurt, Nick Chubb wasn't seeing a bunch of targets, but it's not like Deshaun Watson is afraid to dump the ball off, and I really think Deshaun Watson's going to be much better in 2023 compared to 2022, so I think we might be in for a huge year of 9-inch Nicholas Chubb. I think Chris Olave, again, would have been a pretty fine pick there as well. Obviously, the quarterback being Derek Carr isn't the most ideal, but it's definitely a large step up compared to what they had in New Orleans last season. Josh Allen going at the 2.11. So I will pull the board up. The biggest issue with how the camera is set up is that I'm kind of in the way, so I'll duck down a little bit here so you guys can see the board. After Nick Chubb, Chris Olave, Josh Allen, Devontae Smith, DK Metcalf, and Tony Pollard. I'm going to keep it a buck with you guys. I'm pretty nervous about DK Metcalf inside of the 3rd round. I don't necessarily think he's a bad player. I actually think he's one of the best wide receivers in the National Football League. It's just the fact that they bring in JSN. They still have Tyler Lockett. They have Kenneth Walker. They have Zach Charbonnet. So is this going to be a too many cooks in the kitchen scenario where maybe DK Metcalf might struggle a little bit? Deebo Samuel off the board. Who even knows who his quarterback is going to be? That doesn't mean that I think it's a bad pick. It's just pretty interesting because right now, maybe Sam Darnold is the fucking starter in week number 1, with Brock Purdy being hurt and Trey Lance, not being the best. Looking at the wide receivers, I think it's a reach to take any of them. So I'm going to go ahead and hop back in the well here and go with Josh Jacobs. Now, I think between Josh Jacobs, Breece Hall, Derrick Henry, and Ramondre Stevenson, if you took any of them there, I'm not really going to have too much of an argument with you about which running back I prefer. I think if we knew, again, that Breece Hall was for sure going to play week number 1, that I would jam him in ahead of the others. I just think he is the most skilled out of that group. Obviously, Derrick Henry is a fucking menace. People are going to continue to sleep on him again. Last year, I hated Derrick Henry. I didn't want to draft him. I thought the Titans' offense might decline, which they did, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter when you are a running back as good as Derrick Henry. The rest of the team could be complete and utter dick cheese, and you will still be able to be successful. So Derrick Henry, yet again, probably going to be slept on, going to be a 3rd, 4th round pick in some drafts, and the guy's probably going to finish as a top 5 running back because he is just that good. They bring in Will Levis in the NFL draft. Now, obviously, I'm not the biggest fan of Will Levis. I don't think most people are huge fans of Will Levis. He wasn't really all that successful in college, and he fell out of the 1st round, became a 2nd round pick. Again, do I think that he is significantly worse than Ryan Tannehill? No, he's definitely a humongous leap up from Malik Willis. That pick was obviously wrong. Malik Willis is a certified fucking bum. Ryan Tannehill probably going to start the year, but I wouldn't be surprised if Levis came in, and maybe that helps out Derrick Henry. This is just an offense that kind of reeks, but at the end of the day, the offense runs through Derrick Henry. America runs on Duncan. The Titans offense runs on Derrick Henry. Looking at the board, we have seen 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 quarterbacks already off of the board. B.R. Flocka goes with Jalen Hurts and Lamar Jackson. Now, if you are playing in a normal redraft league, that strategy makes 0 sense. Obviously, assuming it's not super flex, but I do understand why some people do it in best ball, the bully quarterback strategy. I'm not about it, but I do somewhat understand it. Travis Etienne is another player that I'm really having big questions about because I don't really know how much the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to commit to Travis Etienne. Now, I do genuinely think he is a great player, so I understand when you are making the analysis of Travis Etienne, you say, you know what? Jaguars are a better team. Etienne's going to be great. I'm just Not too sure. He's really that bell cow guy. Like, Derrick Henry is significantly better than Travis Etienne, in my opinion. And you could even make the argument that Najee Harris might be in a better situation than Etienne. Harris played all of last season banged up. This year, he should be fully healthy going into the season. So, kind of an interesting thing to discuss. Right now, since we have Tyreek Hill as our only wide receiver right now, definitely going to be looking for Tua later on in the draft to stack him up. Kenneth Walker is a guy that I talked about in yesterday's video, NFL draft losers. Kenneth Walker is a big loser to me. Now, not because he's a bad player, but because they bring in Zach Charbonnet. Pete Carroll already came out and said that, hey, this is going to be a battle, a Star Wars-esque battle for the RB1 spot in Seattle. And Kenneth Walker is a fourth fucking round pick, and he might not even be the starting running back on the team come September, October. So I'm definitely panicking about that. I think if you don't get Kelsey, I'm going to be honest with you, Hawkinson could finish higher, Kittle, Pitts, Goddard, Waller. I'm just kind of staying away from this range at the tight ends. Like, I don't feel super confident about any of them. Looking at the board right here, we can definitely wait on running back. Definitely going to go with a wide receiver. D-Hop, Mike Williams, Jerry Jeudy, Drake London, Keenan Allen, Christian Kirk, best available. We're going to go with my boy Drizzy, Drake London. Now, obviously, the team drafts Bijan Robinson, and this is a team that wants to run the rock at an absorbently, if that's even the correct word, at an incredibly high rate, right? They love to run the rock, Arthur Smith football, run the damn ball. And obviously that kind of hurts Drake London, but they can't possibly run the ball more than they did last season. They would be getting the dog shit beat out of them. They would be losing by roughly 7 zillion points, and in the third and fourth quarter, they were running the ball like it was their job. They were basically doing a scrimmage at the end of the game. Hey, how many yards can Tyler Algier get? Now, Bijan Robinson is the guy. I love Bijan Robinson. I don't necessarily love the quarterback situation in Atlanta, but I think Drake London is so good. And the fact is, it's really just Drake London and Kyle Pitts out there. Drake London's going to see a very high target share. And when you compare him to a guy like Jerry Jeudy, there's been rumors flying around that maybe Jeudy gets traded off the Broncos. I know Sean Payton's going to make things better in Denver, but Jerry Jeudy has been like a perennial top 5 round pick in fantasy football and legitimately really hasn't done shit in his NFL career. Now, obviously, if you look back to college at Alabama, this guy is an incredibly talented player, so I'm not really trying to take a metaphorical dump on the guy's chest, but at the end of the day, Jerry Jeudy hasn't done anything to make me think, oh, now with Russell Wilson, Sean Payton, magically things are going to be way better for Jerry Jeudy, right? If him and Sutton are both playing in 2023, would I be surprised at all if Sutton outscores him? The answer is no. Jerry Jeudy, Terry McLaurin, Justin Herbert, the pervert, and Aaron Jones. I think Aaron Jones is being slept on pretty heavily. Obviously, they have A.J. Dillon, so it's not like Aaron Jones is just going to be the workhorse running back on this team, seeing 75% of the snaps or something like that. But I do think that Jordan Love isn't that bad. People seem to be thinking that this is just a disaster in Green Bay. I think Aaron Jones could get it done this year as like a top 12-ish back. Not necessarily like a top 3 guy, but in the 5th round, certainly a value. Looking at the board here, we're about to pick. D-Hop is available. D-Hop might be complete and utter dust. He's been missing games left and right. He might not even be an Arizona Cardinal. The Cardinals quarterback situation is gross with Kyler gone. Keenan Allen getting up there in age. Looking at the running backs, Dalvin Cook's probably going to end up getting cut. Miles Sanders on the Panthers. JSN obviously gets a bad landing spot, in my opinion, with Seattle. DeAndre Swift still available. We're just going to go ahead and go with another young player. I know a lot of you guys do not like Michael Pittman. I talked about Michael Pittman a couple months ago in a video, and people seem to think that Michael Pittman is bad, and whether or not you believe he is bad, there is a very clear path, a wide open path for this guy to be a top-end wide receiver in fantasy football, strictly based upon volume. This team has him and Alec Pierce. They just brought in Anthony Richardson, and I know Anthony Richardson isn't the most accurate quarterback on earth. I completely agree with that sentiment, but at the end of the day, I think that Anthony Richardson is good enough to force feed the rock to Michael Pittman. Pittman has dealt with garbage can quarterbacks his whole career as an Indianapolis Colt ever since he got drafted. You know, the Colts have been just churning out these old white veteran quarterbacks that are fucking garbage. I think Anthony Richardson, while I don't think he's the greatest passer on earth, I think this offense can be better. I think he's definitely better than Matt Ryan was or Carson Wentz. So Gotta feel confident with Michael Pittman. In my opinion, regardless of what you think about Michael Pittman's skill set, he is going to be force-fed the rock. Dameon Pierce, Isaiah Pacheco, Dalvin Cook, DeAndre Hopkins, Keenan Allen, and Miles Sanders. Love Pacheco, love Dameon Pierce. I think they're definitely worthy of being 5th-round picks. It does seem like the Chiefs are going to bring back in Jerick McKinnon, but ultimately, I still think Pacheco is the clear number 1 back on that team. Pierce has Singletary. I know I've been a Singletary guy in the past. I might even draft Singletary in some fantasy football drafts in case Dameon Pierce gets hurt, because I think the Texans' offense is going to be much better. But Dameon Pierce played really well when he was healthy last year on a way worse offense with a worse head coach. Worst quarterback. Things are going to get better for Dameon Pierce. T-Law off the board. George Kittle, me Timbers. What is Tua's ADP? Pick 84. Let's look at the board real quick. I know I'm kind of blocking some of the board. Pick 84. We'll pick him with our 7th-round pick. Hopefully he falls back all that much at pick number 76. I think he will, though, because I think a lot of people don't really like Tua. So George Kittle, Chris Godwin off of the board. Again, I was drafting a lot of Jackson Smith-Njigba. He looked like the best wide receiver in this draft class. I thought, oh, what happens if he goes to this wonderful landing spot? He's going to be the wide receiver 1. And of course, he falls ass backwards into landing on the Seattle Seahawks that already have Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. Now, do I think that if there's an injury, Jackson Smith-Njigba is a complete steal at pick 60? 100%. But I don't really see a lot of consistency out of him. And with my 6th-round pick, I think I'd rather just go elsewhere. I think I'm going to end up drafting him in a couple of drafts. So I guess maybe I'm just being a bit fugazi here. But at the end of the day, do I think that he is like a must-draft player in the 6th round, even with how good he is? No, I mean, Lockett goes fucking 2 picks after him. I think Lockett might have a better fantasy year than JSN, knock on wood, assuming they are both healthy. Interesting to see Kyle Pitts falling back this far. I just don't know how many times we can get burned by Kyle Pitts until we just say enough is enough and we stop drafting him. At a certain point, though, the tight ends do really fall off the edge of the earth. Really hoping Tua falls back to us. Oh, man. Oh, man. Is the Waddle guy drafting between us? This is a great strategy to click on the other teams while you're drafting to figure out who they have. Okay, they don't have Waddle, so we should be good on waiting for Tua. The wide receivers in this range are fucking disgusting. Marquise Brown. Fucking Tony. I think I'm just going to go tight end. And I'm going to go a little bit crazy here. We're going Darren Waller over Kyle Pitts and Dallas Goedert. Want to get a little bit interesting here. Want to get a little bit off the board. I think Darren Waller, if he could stay healthy, now that's a big ask, could be the number 1 target in New York with the Giants. Makes sense. I mean, we saw Daniel Bellinger have some decent games last year. Again, we're hoping for health, but I think Darren Waller we might end up looking back and being like, wow, Darren Waller was a steal in the 6th and 7th round of most drafts. Now, I get drafting him over Pitts or over Goddard might be a little bit crazy. That's what you got to do when you're trying to win the big bucks in here, right? I said at the beginning of the video, $3 million Rooskies to first. So we got to be a little bit crazy in order to win. I hope these draft videos help you guys out, even though best ball is going to be different than your regular redraft leagues. I hope like the player assessments, the thought processes that I go through in this video, and I just hope you have fun in general. I try to keep these very fun and give you guys a lot of player takes jam-packed into one video. We are 7 rounds in. This is an 18-round draft, so obviously buckle your fucking seatbelts. We're going to be here for a while. I haven't even made a cut. We're 16 minutes in. I'm just that nice with it, dude. I can just keep talking. So Kyle Pitts, Cam Akers, Dallas Goedert. Mixon, oh, he goes off the board. Might not even be a Bengal, right? He might be gone. So interesting to think with Cincinnati. The Cincinnati backup is, I'm trying to think what his name is. It's the guy from Denver. Let's pull his name up. It is, oh no, never mind. I messed up. That is a different team. But Chase Brown, who I wanted to talk about, might be a steal if Mixon's gone. Just a thought. And Samaje Perine was the guy I was thinking about. He is on the Denver Broncos. That is my mistake. So Mixon, Brown, and then Rashad White. The Detroit Lions got rid of DeAndre Swift. David Montgomery might be a nice steal here, but we're going to snag the boy Tua, turn of the ball over, my guy Tua Tagovailoa. Again, I have such strong beliefs in Tua. If this guy is able to stay healthy, look, I know people say, Nick, You're a Dolphins fan. That's why you like Tua. You're just getting down on your knees for your quarterback. You love him. And yeah, I love Tua. But at the end of the day, I wasn't fucking proclaiming to everyone to draft Tua when he wasn't good, right? The first 2 years, things weren't great, and I wasn't screaming to the mountaintops that you need to draft Tua in fantasy. I liked him last year because Mike McDaniel came to town, Tyreek Hill came to town, so it made sense. I think people are sleeping on my boy Tua, and I wouldn't be shocked if he's a top 5 quarterback. He also has some sneaky rushing upside. Now, I don't want Tua to be running the ball. I don't want him to be in danger of getting fucking clocked in the head like Timo Meyer did up against the Rangers, if you guys watch hockey. But look, at the end of the day, Tua's going to do what Tua wants to do. The motherfucker came out of concussion protocol and up against the Steelers tried to truck stick a motherfucker on their team. So he doesn't give a shit. Like, he's just trying to gain the yards. I respect it. But as a Dolphins fan, I hope he stays okay because I really think this guy is a special quarterback. Look at our team. Our team's looking pretty nice. Let's look at some late round Miami guys we could stack up with Tua. Devin off the chain, coming off the board at pick 119. I like Devin Achane, how the fuck you say his last name? Raheem Mostert, Jeff Wilson. There's rumors that they might get Dalvin Cook, and that's really going to destroy all my teams with the other Miami running backs. But I think Devin Achane is going to have Achane, how the fuck you say his last name again? This is a guy that has a lot of speed. This Dolphins team looks to get fast. I think Tua's going to try to dump the ball off. He was dumping the ball off a decent amount to Chase Edmonds early on in the season, but then Chase Edmonds forgot how to catch the football. I think this could be really good for Devin off the chain. So looking at the board after Tua, Pickens, Njoku, Connor. Connor survived the draft. Now, Cardinals might not be that good, but James Conner is the RB1 on the team. Deontay Johnson, Treylon Burks, Gabe Davis, David Montgomery. I'm going to keep it a buck again. I said that earlier on in the video. Keep it 100. Don't like George Pickens. I don't get it. He makes these fantastic catches. This is a half PPR league, half PPR format. I want the guy who is going to be able to catch passes. I don't want the guy that's just gets 4 catches a game, makes a big play, maybe, makes a crazy catch. I want Deontay Johnson, who's getting way more targets. Anthony Richardson going in the 8th round. Interesting to see. I mean, I definitely get it. I probably would have drafted Anthony Richardson if he came back to me. Looking at our receivers, we do have some late round options, though. Like, we could go with Drizzy Drake London's quarterback, Desmond Ridder later. A lot of back stacking that we could do here, so not super worried. Daniel Jones is a guy. His other weapons are so cheap. Like, obviously, I paid up for Darren Waller. Of course, he goes off the board, but like Hyatt, Wan'Dale Robinson, all these guys who could be the wide receiver 1 are going basically for free in the draft. Definitely for free in a redraft league because you're only making like 13 picks. You're making 18 here. Kirk Cousins, Rodgers. How are Rodgers' other receivers looking on here? Rodgers, we got Lazard, Hardman. I think Rodgers is going to be a disappointment. But again, I don't really want to dig too deep on that take. Looking at our running backs, Javonte could be so clutch if he's healthy for a lot of the season. And I continue to draft Javonte. James Cook, I think, is just... Like, I get why people like James Cook. I think he's skilled. I don't know, man. The Buffalo Bills just don't run the ball enough for me to really be sold on him. So I'm going Javonte for the Denver Broncos. I think if you want to keep it safe, obviously we talked about him before, you could just go ahead and draft Samaje Perine later, but this is a best ball league. I don't necessarily think handcuffing your running back is the best strategy in that. We're going Javonte. I'm already comfortable with 9-inch Nicholas Chubb and Josh Jacobs, so even if Javonte Williams misses some time, I think we should be just fine. Going to be spamming wide receivers here, though. There's a couple that I like. I really do like Michael Thomas. The guy's just always hurt, just gets hurt all the fucking time, but there is reason to believe that, look, if this guy does stay healthy, he could be a top 5. He could be literally the number 1 receiver in fantasy football. Even with the fact that they have Chris Olave on the team now. It's funny, all the Baltimore Ravens receivers going in a line here. Zay Flowers, Rashad Master, Bateman, and Odell. I think Bateman is the last one there for me. But I don't know. I mean, it's just kind of gross. If I had to draft one, I'm drafting Odell, though. I already have a decent amount of Odell. I was drafting him super late in drafts, but this is a new contest, obviously. Juju's definitely gross. Jacoby Myers, Lazard. I mean, the wide receivers get gross the later you get in the draft. I almost think I'd rather go with Sutton, We already have two young guns in Drake London and Michael Pittman, a little bit older of a player in Tyreek. I think I'm going to go Cortland Sutton here. I'm going to feel like a fool when Jameson Williams smashes because I love Jameson Williams. But the fact that he's missing 6 games, the fact that this is a 3 wide receiver league, and I feel like Cortland Sutton can make the lineup more. Now, again, I don't love Russell Wilson. I liked him a lot last year. He shit the bed for me. But let's call a spade, right? The Denver wide receiver core, we got Judy, we got Sutton. They have Tim Patrick. They drafted Marvin Mims. But let's be honest. Cortland Sutton and Jerry Judy are clearly the best 2 on that team. And if Sean Payton really is that guy and he's able to figure out Russell Wilson and we get a great year out of Russell Wilson, then maybe I'm going to make out like a bandit with Cortland Sutton. Maybe it's going to be a pie directly in my face. Who knows? But, it's the 9th round. I'm not trying to just take the most fucking safe players on the board. None of these guys are safe this late in the draft. Like, again, I think Jameson Williams is going to smash. The problem is that he's missing those 6 games. And while I understand you got to be looking for the fantasy football playoffs, there's a chance he comes back. Maybe he's a little bit cold, right? Maybe the Detroit Lions start force-feeding the ball to Sam Laporta. Or maybe my guy Marvin Jones, who's back with the team, maybe he's really developed a strong role with Goff. And we end up looking a little bit fool with our pants on the ground and our hat turned sideways, as that guy said on American Idol. If you guys remember that is a real, I don't even remember the guy's name. I really thought that was funny when I was like 9 or 10 when that came out. Still remember it to this day. So looking at the board, I'm going to pull the board back up. I'm actually just going to minimize myself so that we can look at the board here. I'll pull my beautiful face back up. I know you guys are missing it. Let's see. We saw Cortland Sutton, Alexander Madison, Odell Beckham Jr., Jameson Williams, Pat Freiermuth, Geno Smith, Elijah Moore. Charbonnet going in the 8th round. I kind of like that pick. Again, last year we saw Penny and we saw Kenneth Walker go in a similar range in the back, like 8, 9, 10th round. Moved up a little bit. I was a big Penny guy. I was wrong. The answer was Kenneth Walker, but that's because Penny got hurt. Zach Charbonnet, they're both 2nd-round picks, him and Kenneth Walker. We could end up looking very smart drafting a lot of Zach Charbonnet, or maybe we're going to look very wrong, and Kenneth Walker is going to have this offense by the balls. And the fact that I say that he's a bad 3rd, 4th-round pick, where do you go in this draft? Kenneth Walker. I do have a mic in front of my face, so like part of the screen obviously is a little bit blocked. Kenneth Walker went, I just saw him. He went in the 4th round. I don't think that's a bad pick. Fucking Chain went off the board. My boy, so that sucks. But there are still some Dolphins guys I could snag a little bit later to match with Tua. Something you can do if you're like big into game theory here in best ball is drafting the since we don't know the schedule yet, just drafting the division mates of the Dolphins. So like stacking with some Bills. So maybe you get that crazy stack later on in week 17. So these other Dolphins guys are kind of just free. Like, if I want to get Braxton Berrios or something like Mostert or Jeff Wilson, even if one of these guys gets cut, like, they're going to end up on another team playing, so that doesn't make me panic too much. Khalil Herbert got cucked a little bit by Roschon Johnson getting drafted to the team. I think Roschon Johnson's definitely better than people give him credit for. Obviously, the fact that Bijan Robinson was on his team at Texas, that hurts him, obviously, because Bijan Robinson is such a fucking monster. But I still think that you get some decent value with Khalil Herbert even still. I still like Jamal Williams a ton, but the Saints also drafted another running back. They drafted Kendre Miller, and if Alvin Kamara ends up missing the whole year to a sussy, a nice suspension, then bam, we could see some solid value out of them. The receivers at this point are definitely getting gross. We have 3 solid running backs, so I'm not necessarily screaming to the mountaintops that we need to draft Khalil Herbert or Brian Robinson. I think a quarterback could make sense, but we could also just go with one of the later guys. So we're just going to go wide receiver here, and we are going to go with Zay Jones. I know they brought in Calvin Ridley, but I think this offense is just going to be scoring so many points that as our 5th wide receiver, like Zay Jones, could sneak into our lineup probably a couple times on the season, even ahead of these star-studded guys. So I think Zay Jones is pretty interesting. If you wanted to go with Mooney, like maybe because Justin Fields is so much better and Mooney has a bounce-back year. I was big into Darnell. Here comes the Mooney last year, and that did not work out too well. They also just brought in another wide receiver in DJ Moore, so I don't know. I mean, Lazard seems like the biggest, like, you're just a fucking dummy if you draft Alan Lazard, right? Because they have Garrett Wilson. But then again, we just know Rodgers loves those guys with the that he has chemistry with. They just brought in Randall Cobb. I wonder if they even updated on here. Yeah, Randall Cobb just signed with the fucking Jets. So you already know that wide receiver core is going to be gross. Randall Cobb might even be a late round guy draft. I drafted him a ton last year. Let's see how many points he scored last year. Obviously, it wasn't like the greatest pick on earth, but it made sense to me. Like, he could have a couple of good games. He did not play well last year. I think Russ could make sense because we have Cortland Sutton. I do want to get Sam Laporta later. Kincaid and Dawson Knox going back to back. Just a gross scenario. Absolutely disgusting. I think KJ Osborne's a fucking awful pick, if I'm being honest with you. Now that they drafted Quentin Johnston, I think that's just a huge miss of a pick, if I'm being honest with you. It takes a while for us to come back to pick. Probably just gonna wait to get like Bryce Young, I would think. So we're just gonna go with another receiver. Oh man, dude, the receivers are gross. We're gonna go running back. We're going Khalil Herbert. Again, he's gonna be in competition. He is our 4th running back. So I think we're fine with that. We definitely need more receivers though. I think Adam Thielen's a guy that I do still like, but let's be honest with you. Carolina has so many decent receiver options that go super late. Why the hell? Oh, because I guess Cardinals. Let's just type in Panthers. So Adam Thielen, DJ Chark, Jonathan Mingo. Like, all these guys are values in drafts, and they're not necessarily free in best ball, but they're free in redraft leagues, and I think they could both be good. Even Hayden Hurst. Like, I know he's old. I know he's not amazing. But, like, Tommy Make That Ass Tremble is their tight end number 2. It's not like Tommy Tremble's going to be stealing a bunch of value away from him. So we're going to pull the board back up. We're going to disappear. Call me fucking Houdini. If you have ended up enjoying this video thus far, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Make sure you hit that like button as well. It does help me out a ton. If you're watching a video that's this long, you probably enjoyed it thus far. I would have to say, I mean, like, if you're going to sit here and watch for 30 plus minutes, you have to be enjoying. I don't just watch something for 30 minutes if I didn't enjoy it. So here's the board right here. Khalil Herbert, Jacoby Myers, Elijah Mitchell, Chig, Tyler Boyd, Juju, Darnell Mooney, Adam Thielen. I like Elijah Mitchell, but I'm going to be honest with you guys. The 49ers, like, Christian McCaffrey is obviously the guy, but would it surprise you at all if you just type in San Francisco, we'll just go to San Francisco running backs here. Would you be surprised at all if I clicked running backs? I guess it doesn't matter. Let's see, where are the other running backs? Like fucking Jordan Mason or Tyrion Davis-Price outscore him. I wouldn't be, because the San Francisco 49ers don't ever give you any tell at who they want to be the other running back. Like, it's just some random bastard. If it is Elijah Mitchell, then I think Elijah Mitchell's a steal. If Christian McCaffrey went down, boy, oh boy, the amount of fucking points you would get is insane. But I'm not fully sold on that. Tyler Boyd off the board as well. I think I already read that off. Adam Thielen. Throw ourselves back up on the screen here. If Russ falls to us, I'm going to go Russ. If he doesn't, though, I'm not going to be crying because I'm perfectly fine drafting Bryce Young. Let's see if there's any other Denver players available. Dulcich, I think, got hurt by the fact that the Broncos just brought in Adam Troutman. They also have Aquabanum. So I don't necessarily think that he's a smash tight end pick. But when you are drafting later on, like, we already have Waller, we're hoping, when we're drafting a team like this, we're just assuming all these guys are hitting. Like, I'm just assuming Darren Waller goes fucking beast mode. That, like, if I don't have necessarily, like, the hugest stack on earth, I think I'll be fine, right? Like, I don't necessarily need Dulcich to smash. I kind of do like Bryce Young, though, better than Russell Wilson, if I'm being honest. But it's all about the stack. It's all about the value. Like, we're pick 141. Like, that's a good value on Russ. That's 20 picks past ADP. We'd basically be selecting Bryce Young exactly at ADP. Kyler Murray is just a guy I'm not drafting at all as someone takes him. Not because I think that he's bad, but because I think that when you miss that many games potentially, like, let's think about it, right? You're the Cardinals. You are 1-5. It is now week 7. We don't know when their bye is. It's week 7. Kyler could come back. You are 1-5. Is Kyler really worth throwing out there? Think about that. What do you think? Do you think yes or no? My guess would be a lot of people say no, it's not worth it. Now, if they are 5-1, which is basically impossible, then yeah, you throw Kyler Murray out there. That's something that really worries me. What if they are just, the team is just dead by the time that Kyler can come back? Why would they roll him out? So, in the 12th round, I get it. He's your quarterback 3, right? You have Hurts, Lamar, and Kyler. I guess I kind of understand it, but I'm still not drafting him in that scenario. He took Mingo. That guy wants fucking Bryce Young. We're keeping it simple. We're going with Russell Wilson at this pick. Hopefully, we can get Raheem Mostert at our next pick for more Miami Dolphins action here, but I don't necessarily think we need a bunch more Miami Dolphins. Because even just Tyreek and Tua is fine. We don't need the biggest stack. Denver doesn't really have a lot of late round stacking options either. Like, I guess we could go with Marvin Mims super late. Tim Patrick as well. So we'll mark him off. We'll mark off Marvin Mims here. Looking at the receivers aren't the best back here, but there is still some value. Like, Rashee Rice could be the number 1 receiver on the Chiefs. People are saying he's a better like prospect than Sky Moore. Like, and Tony is just a huge if. I mean, they also still have MVS. But we all know MVS never shows up. I like Nico Collins. There are some receivers I do like back here, though. I'm being honest. It's just obviously much grosser than early on when we were drafting the wide receivers here. Zeke is going to end up on a team. I don't think we need to force our way into picking Raheem Mostert here. I think there's a chance he continues to fall. So we're probably just going to go receiver at this pick. I love Nico Collins. I have a lot of him. I think Dobbs might bounce back this year. Didn't really have a great rookie year, but could be a little bit better this year. But I want to go with my boy DJ Chark. He underwent ankle surgery. Could be ready for part of OTAs. Not too worried about that. I think DJ Chark fits in pretty well with the Panthers offense. Again, if you think Adam Thielen might be kind of dust, DJ Chark could be really good in that scenario. So I'm fine drafting DJ Chark here, even though he's a little bit older. Taysom Hill's a tight end again. Like, imagine if Derek Carr's playing and they just yank Carr, throw in Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill's one of those picks where it's like, I get why people draft him, right? Because his ceiling is so high. Like, any given game, he could have 25, 30 points. And look, when you're drafting, like, Greg Dulcich or Michael Mayer or Tyler Higbee, like, you don't have that 30-point ceiling, Gerald Everett. Whereas Taysom Hill, 25, 30 points. He could easily rip a game off like that. But how likely is that to happen now with the fact that they invested in Carr? I don't think very high. We're back up 12 picks away, so I don't think Mostert's going to fall to us, but we shall see. I think our team's really good so far. We have Nick Chubb and Josh Jacobs, who I'm very confident could easily both be top 5 backs. Javonte Williams, who, if healthy and if this Denver offense really is great, then Javonte could be a smash. Khalil Herbert, he's obviously in the battle with Rashawn Johnson. It's not like the Chicago Bears are just this dog shit running back core, right? They also have, here are the Bears. They also have Donta Foreman, so like it's going to be a battle, but I think Khalil Herbert's the best out of that group. Our receiver core is really good because we got Tyreek, Drake London, Michael Pittman, Sutton, Zay Jones, DJ Chark, and then we have Darren Waller. Again, if Darren Waller stays healthy, I think we are going to be so excited about this team. I get that, you should have drafted Goddard or Pitts out of him. Go ahead, you can do whatever you want there, but I think that we still made a pretty decent selection. Rashid Shaheed, very interesting. That guy's like the definition of boomer bust. Last year, he had a couple of games where he just dicked down the defense. Like, it wasn't even funny because, like, no one's playing him, right? If you're in a redraft league, there's no way you have the fucking cojones to start Rashid Shaheed. But he had, like, 2-3 games where he dropped a 20 bomb. He was going off, and it was very funny to see because, like, there's no way anyone was playing Rashid Shaheed. Like, in DFS, people were playing him. But there's no way in your regular redraft league, in a normal 10, 12, 14-team league, you're like, you know what? Rashid Shaheed's the answer this week, right? But in best ball, could have those big games. Our quarterbacks are gross, though. Like Tua, I love Tua, but there's the injury problem. Russell Wilson just fucking sucked last year, but, you know, maybe everything works out our way. If this hits, like if Tua and Russ both hit, we're going to be laughing, man. We're going to be so excited because obviously that means Tyreek is going to devour, and that means Cortland Sutton probably had a great year as well. Chase Brown does come off the board. That does suck. I kind of wanted Chase Brown for what we talked about. Mixon, Mostert comes off the board. Jeff Wilson's definitely getting cut if they do bring in Dalvin Cook. I still think he's worthy of a late pick, but I just don't know if at this spot. I think Tank Bigsby might sneak up on ETN a little bit. Devin Singletary I also don't think is that bad of a pick, if I'm being honest with you, this late in the draft with Houston. So we're going to go with him. Again, I think Pierce is the guy, but I still think Devin Singletary has some value, especially if this Texans offense is a lot better than they were last year, like I believe they will be. So we have 5 running backs. I think that we have picked 15, 16, 17, 18, so we have 4 picks left. There's really no need to draft another running back unless we love a guy super late in the draft. There's no need to draft another quarterback either unless like we're sitting there and it's like, ooh, Sam Howell or Desmond Ridder. Maybe we just package Desmond Ridder with fucking with Drake London. But do we really need that, right? We probably might need 3 tight ends, but I don't think we need 3 quarterbacks. I love Sam Laporta. Love Sam Laporta in Detroit. Love the landing spot with Jared Goff, with Jameson Williams out. Jared Goff was feeding these tight ends. Sam Laporta's a fucking beast. The problem, though, is rookie tight ends normally don't work in fantasy football. Even Kyle Pitts, who was amazing his rookie year, wasn't that great for fantasy. But I still like Laporta, so we're pinging him. Probably going to go receiver. I have to think that Josh Downs could be used pretty decently in Indy. But again, he's like the number 3 guy. Renfro, number 2 in Las Vegas, but they have guys there, right? They have Devontae Adams, and they have Jimmy G. Khalil make that Ash Shakur. Not a bad pick either. Tight ends. Oh, man, I think we're just going to reach on a tight end. I think we're just going to reach on Sam Laporta. Get our guy. Get the guy. Again, even though these rookie tight ends normally don't hit, just getting a guy in a team that I think is going to be really good this year, and I think he's a talented enough player that he's worth that pick. Obviously, at the end of the draft, oh, you reached on him. It is what it is. If I reached on him, I still think he's a good pick. I saw someone at ESPN, now no shade to ESPN, talking up Kenny Pickett as a fantasy breakout. I don't see it, if I'm being honest with you. I think if Najee Harris is healthy, Kenny Pickett is not going to be throwing as much. They're going to really look to run the rock. I don't think Pickett's even a bad quarterback. He doesn't have a lot of rushing upside. Like, look at his rushing stats. He had 237 rushing yards, 3 rushing touchdowns. Like, he would need to really pick up the rushing pace for me to be like, you know what, Kenny Pickett is a smash pick for quarterbacks. Now, I get drafting him in fantasy football. Like, I get drafting him in a best ball league. Like, you stack up the Steelers, maybe he has that breakout, but I wouldn't project that. And going out there and, like, putting out a graphic where it's like, Kenny Pickett is this breakout quarterback seems a little absurd. Like, if you say, oh, I think Pickett's going to be better than last year, so do I. But I'm not here to tell you that Kenny Pickett is the fucking second coming of whatever. Like, I think it was Mike Clay. I don't even think he said that, but just saying he's going to break out, I just don't know. Khalil make that Ash Shakur. Isaiah Hodgins. Hodgins could be the number 1 receiver on the Giants. I'm sorry if you hear these people cutting down their tree outside. It is 1 o'clock, 1:40 as I'm recording this. They've been doing it all day. Like, I tried to wait as long as possible. I was like, yeah, how long does it take to cut down a tree? Shouldn't be that long. And then I'm still here, and I still hear it. It's kind of fucking annoying, but that's what you get. Right when it gets sunny out, people start doing this. They start mowing their lawn and everything during the day when I'm trying to record. It's a tough scene. It really is. So let's see here. We got enough running backs. No more running backs. So it's wide receivers. Probably another tight end, if I'm being honest with you. Because we did go so young. Not the lady from MILF Manor. If you watch that show, you know. But I don't necessarily think that having Laporta and Waller is the best strategy, knowing Waller's injury prone, and then Laporta's so young. So going with another running back or another tight end definitely makes sense. The quarterbacks, like, what does fucking Jimmy Garoppolo add to this team? Nothing. He adds literally nothing. He's like 15 points a game. He's never really, especially with the Raiders, like, he's not going to have like a 35-point game. Like, even if Russell Wilson or Tua shit the bed, like, the team's just dead anyways. So there's really no need to, like, backpedal and just take a quarterback for no reason when you could just load up on more wide receivers and tight ends. I think taking a 6th running back could be fine depending on who's available later. But again, it just really depends on who's available. Like, I think that Israel Abanaconda was a guy that a lot of people were talking up. The problem is he landed on the Jets. So, I don't know. Deuce Vaughn could be decent. I don't know. It's just like so late once you pass a certain range at running back, like let's pull up the draft board. I'll minimize myself again. Like once you get past this Devin Singletary, the Mostert, the Gainwell, even the Tank Bigsby, it's like these guys are really like you're really grasping at straws. Now maybe they do hit, so like it is possible, but let's be honest, you don't really want to love drafting any of these guys. And I don't think you can have that hot of a take on any of these guys. I think we're going to go Marvin Mims here. Tim Patrick, probably a little bit safer, right? We've seen him play before. But I could see Marvin Mims stepping up in Denver, especially if Judy or Sutton get moved. So that's the pick. Joshua Palmer got absolutely cucked by the fact that the Chargers drafted a receiver. So he's kind of useless as well. I don't really think anyone's going to draft Marvin Mims, though. So we're going to go Isaiah Hodgins, who I think could be the wide receiver 1 on the Giants. The Giants are a team they have Hyatt, who they just drafted. They have Wan'Dale Robinson. They brought in Petty Campbell. They still have Darius Slayton and Sterling Shepard. But I think Hodgins, like to me, he looked like he was one of the best receivers on the team. So I'm just going to go ahead and lean with that. Like I think this Giants offense is going to be just fine. And I think as our 7th wide receiver, like you're not too mad that he's your wide receiver number 7 on your fantasy team, right? Not like he's getting in there all that often, but you could see that big play upside out of him. And look, when you draft a guy like Robert Woods, how many big games do you think Robert Woods is going to have? Like, how many 20-plus point performances do you think he's going to have? Not that much. We saw that Mr. C.J. Stroud advocated for the Texans to draft Nathaniel Dell. Now, does that mean Nathaniel Dell is going to be a good fucking fantasy player? No. But the fact that C.J. Stroud advocated for him tells me that maybe you want to throw your 18th round pick his way because maybe that will end up working out. Just some thought process here. The Dallas Cowboys are interesting because the Cowboys did not draft a tight end that moves the needle for me. They don't. They still have Peyton Hendershot, and they have Jake Ferguson. I think Jake Ferguson might be a really good pick because they like to throw the ball to tight end. I still think Hayden Hurst might be slightly better. But I'm not blinking at someone taking Jake Ferguson. Like, I'm not like, wow, that's a bad pick, right? I think we're going to go... I honestly think Mims is going to come all the way back at the end of the draft. I don't think Hayden Hurst will, so we're going Hayden Hurst. Again, if you guys have enjoyed thus far, of course Mims goes right after, right? Fuck me, but make sure you hit that subscribe button, that like button. Richie James, now a Kansas City Chief, very interesting. The Chiefs is like, if you take one of these late round Chiefs guys, like I get it, right? He has Patrick Mahomes, their quarterback. So go right ahead. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, it's going to be so funny if after years of drafting CH super high and years of him not really paying off, if he just gets buried in drafts. He's going undrafted in some drafts. That the guy just fucking, like a phoenix, rises up and just has a great season. Chase Claypool's going super late, but I was never really a Chase Claypool guy, if I'm being honest. So we're going to get ourselves off the screen here. Go back to the board. You guys can pause at any point if you want to look at the board even more, but we're down here. We got pick 213, and then we're closing out the video. Again, if you enjoyed the video, subscribe, hit that like button. I'm going to be doing a lot more drafts as we get into the summer. These are going to be live streams. I think right now it's like, do I really want to go live at like 12 o'clock on a Wednesday during May? Like, no, because I don't know how many people will show up, but we will be doing live streams, obviously live streams during the season as well. I love going live. I love talking to you guys. I'm going to try to work on some stuff new for the channel this year, so I'm very excited to debut that whenever that comes out, probably in like June or July. Gonna be very exciting. I really do appreciate all you guys, and I hope you enjoyed today's video. It's fun doing these drafts, and again, we are going to be doing Sleeper, Fantasy Pros, ESPN, Yahoo drafts as the summer goes along. It's just doing those right now. It's like the ADP is so bad. Like the ADP on here is decent, right? Like these picks are making sense. Like there's nothing fucking crazy happening, at least early on, right? Like if you just look at the board and you just pick a player, like you're like Dalvin Cook. Now, maybe actually I don't think Dalvin Cook's ADP makes sense, but for instance, Christian Kirk makes perfect sense that he's going in the 5th round. Christian Watson in the 4th round. I tried to do a mock draft before the NFL draft on Sleeper, and Bijan Robinson went at like pick 100. I recorded a whole video. I was sitting there for like hours, and I was like, dude, this fucking video sucks because it doesn't make any sense. So I didn't even end up posting it. So hopefully that is fixed soon, and it will be. Looking at the board here, we got our 3 tight ends. We're just going to go 1 more receiver. And again, just take whoever the fuck you want. You can go Justin Ross. Go with any of these guys. Kayshawn Booty. But we're going Nathaniel Dell. We're chasing the upside of the computer man himself, Dell. CJ Stroud said to draft him. Told the Texans to draft him. So I'm going to draft him. Interesting build, 2.583. Think that's pretty fair. I think our tight end core isn't the best, but hey, we drafted Darren Waller early. Maybe we should have went with the receiver or something, but hey, you live and you learn. It was just $25, and maybe we're going to leave here with $3 million at the end of the season. That would be awesome. They also have a regular season prize pool as well, so if you finish up at the top in the regular season, you make a bunch of money as well. This is going to be very fun. Again, we're going to be doing a lot more of these throughout the offseason because I want to record these because you know how cool it would be? Like, oh, Nick won $3 million. And then you can just watch a video of me talking about some random shit while I'm doing a draft. We're talking through it. And then, bam, Nick has the video where he drafted the $3 million team. You know how crazy that would be? That would be awesome. Pete Overzet, a really nice guy. I had him on the channel last year. He is live streaming every one of his drafts. Liam, I think, is doing something similar. Liam, very nice guy as well. Had him on the channel. So yeah, I love these drafts. I love watching them. I feel like I learn a lot, and I feel like I say a lot in these videos. We're talking about random shit as well, but I think I say some insightful things about these players, even if it's not a player that I drafted. I just talk about a lot of players throughout the draft. Obviously, once you get to like rounds 16, 17, 18, you're just throwing a dart from half court, right? You're hoping it lands. But hey, that's what makes it so fun. Maybe, just maybe, Sam Laporta is the second coming of Rob Gronkowski. Maybe Nathaniel Dell is the next Ray fucking... oh, man, I almost just said the wrong Rice. Jerry Rice. I don't know why the draft is not ending. But yeah, that's it. Our team is Tua Tagovailoa, Russell Wilson. Running backs are 9-inch Nicholas Chubb, Josh Jacobs, Javonte Williams, Khalil Herbert, and Devin Singletary. Our receivers are Tyreek Hill, Drake London, Michael Pittman, Cortland Sutton, Zay Jones, DJ Chark, baby Chark, Isaiah Hodgins, Nathaniel Dell. Our tight ends are Darren Waller, Sam Laporta, and Hayden Hurst. Thank you guys all so much for watching. If you did end up enjoying, make sure you hit that subscribe button, make sure you hit that like button, make sure you check out the link in the video description. If you want to sign up for Underdog Fantasy, you get a $100 first match deposit bonus. You deposit up to $100. So you deposit 100, they give you an additional 100. If you only want to deposit 20, they'll give you 20 extra dollars. Link in the video description. Love you guys all. Have a great rest of your guys' day. And as always, goodbye.